Hello and welcome to QUqədC Education Teacher Training Academy. I'm Peter and today we'll be looking at the 6 most popular IELTS speaking test myths and how to bust them. How often have you heard from your students something like, "Teacher, I heard that," usually from another student, or "Teacher, I read that," usually from the internet? And some of these beliefs or myths can be quite funny since none of them have any evidence or basis in reality. However, there is a serious side because when students believe these myths are true, they can have a negative effect on their confidence and can even lead to a belief that they are beaten even before they start. So, for us teachers, it's very important for us to bust these myths. We should instill confidence and belief in our students. So let's kick off with number 1, and that is, I should dress very smartly and be friendly. Students often think that this is a good way, an important way to impress the examiner. But examiners are only impressed by high-scoring candidates, not by designer clothes or shoes or friendly behavior. To be fair, it is important for students to look good, as it makes them feel confident. However, students should also remember it's a language test and not a fashion or personality test. So advise students to wear whatever makes them feel comfortable. But don't dress for the beach. And the second myth is, I will get penalized if I ask the examiner to repeat the question. This is, would you believe, quite a popular myth, which, as usual, has no truth to it. Students often speak about penalties in the IELTS speaking test, but we should make it clear to them that there are no minimum scores and no penalties. Additionally, they should never be reluctant to ask the examiner to repeat a question, and never answer a question they do not fully understand. Students can be taught some useful phrases such as, "Excuse me, can you repeat the question?" or "Sorry, I don't understand." Moving on to number 3, and that is, I should have a British accent to score well in pronunciation. Students say this because the British Council is one of the co-owners of IELTS. However, so also are Cambridge and of course IDP, and they're Australian. So why not an Australian accent? The reality is that the IELTS speaking test is a test of international English, not British, not American, or even Australian. If we look at the speaking band descriptors, there is no mention of a British or native speaker accent. To get a band 7, students should be generally understood throughout, with accent, that is their own accent, having a minimal effect on being understood. And moving on to number 4, which says, I should use a lot of idioms. Well, it is true that using idioms can have a positive effect on the lexical resource criteria. In fact, Band 7 in lexical resource says uses idiomatic vocabulary. However, students often concentrate too much on learning lists of idioms when they prepare for the IELTS speaking test, and they forget that it's only a small aspect of the lexical resource criterion. So using lots of idioms will not have a great impact on fluency and coherence, grammar and pronunciation. In fact, inaccurate use of idioms will have a negative effect on the lexical resource score. And the 5th myth, accurate grammar is the most important. In certain language traditions, grammatical accuracy is valued more than any other aspect of language learning. And indeed, the IELTS speaking test does grade grammatical range and accuracy. But it is important for students to remember that grammar accounts for only 25% of the overall score, and grammar is graded according to range and accuracy, not only accuracy. According to the band descriptors, students can still achieve a band 7 in the use of grammar in spite of making mistakes. It reads, some grammatical mistakes persist. And finally, number 6, friendly examiners give higher scores. One of the most common comments candidates make after they finish their speaking test is the examiner was friendly or even unfriendly. If the examiner is perceived by students as unfriendly, the word quickly gets around the test centre, which in turn can increase candidates' feelings of anxiety. However, students should be aware that examiners are trained to be friendly and professional, but not over-friendly, as it can give candidates the wrong impression during the test. And examiners are not even allowed to say anything positive, such as good. This can lead to candidates' feelings that they are unfriendly. The perceived mood of the examiner has absolutely no effect on the speaking test score. So candidates should be realistic and remember it's a professional and high-stakes test, not a social occasion.